Scott Pelley was hosting 60 Minutes last night, and you may have seen it. He had a one-on-one with President Biden.
People are shocked by their grocery bills. What can you do better and faster?
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Inflation rate month to month was just an inch, hardly at all.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it's good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before. I mean, it's not. Maybe I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%. It's
the highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years.
I got that, but guess what we are? We're in a position where, for the last several months, it hasn't spiked.
It hasn't spiked. It's because it's careened through the top.
When you're a president, you have to deal with that kind of quote back to you, and your answer back is, yeah, but it hasn't spiked in a while. That's not an answer people want to hear.
This is what makes no sense. It hasn't spiked in a while. It means, hey, it went from 1.3% to 6%, but came back down to 1.4. This one went from 1.6 or 7 to 8.4 or 8.5. It drops from 8.5 to 8.3, which saves you nothing. Yeah. By the way, at this rate, if it was going down a tenth of a point a month, it would only take 10 years for that inflation to come back down. So here's the real issue, and the real problem is he doesn't understand, or at least he is not articulating an understanding of basic economic principles regarding inflation and the impact inflation has on America. Not just, by the way, people say it really hurts the middle class, which it does. It hurts everyone in the United States, from the largest earners to the minimum wage earners.
Is the economy going to get worse before it gets better?
No, I don't think so. We hope we can have what they say, a soft landing, a transition to a place where we don't lose the gains that I ran to make in the first place for middle-class folks, being able to generate good-paying jobs and expansion, and at the same time make sure that we are able to continue to grow.
That's a real comforting thought.
Yeah, I mean,
is that a confidence-building measure? No.
The next part of that conversation is you can hear when he does push back, and he asks that big question of, are you going to tell the American people that inflation is going to come down?
And you would tell the American people that inflation is going to continue to decline?
No, I'm telling the American people that we're going to get control of inflation, and their prescription drug prices are going to be a lot lower. Their health care costs are going to be a lot lower. Their basic costs for everybody. Their energy prices are going to be lower. They're going to be in a situation where they begin to gain control again. I'm more optimistic than I've been in a long time.
More optimistic than he's been in a long time, which does give you reassurance that the president
he's not optimistic.
has been somewhere he's thinking around going, oh, no, this is not going well for a long time.
I hope
and
they're
all of a
saying
sudden
that.
He's like, whoo, all right, made it through that.
This is the problem. Many of you are not old enough to remember this, but I am old enough to remember this. This is starting to feel an awful lot like Jimmy Carter circa 1978-79.
You want to hear what he said about Putin?
Vladimir Putin is becoming embarrassed and pushed into a corner. And I wonder, Mr. President, what you would say to him if he is considering using chemical or tactical nuclear weapons.
Don't.
That's it? Not there will be consequences that your country will pay? You will be isolated from the rest of the world. You could have retribution coming back.
That's what Kamala Harris said as well. When they said, what are you going to tell people who are trying to cross the border? Don't come.
No, it's secure anyways.
Don't come to the border. Just don't. That's the policy. The policy is we'd prefer you not. We prefer you not use nuclear warheads. We prefer you do not cross the border. What are we going to do to stop it? I don't know.
You ready for another international conflict? We're going to fight the Chinese in Taiwan. Here we go.
What should Chinese President Xi know about your commitment to Taiwan?
We agree with what we signed on to a long time ago, and that there's a one China policy, and Taiwan makes their own judgments about their independence. We are not moving, we're not encouraging their being independent. That's their decision.
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
Think about that for a moment. I mean, the consequences of that. Now, listen, I don't like what China's threatening to do to Taiwan, but I would go with the most severe. The economy in China is shaky right now. I would go with the most severe economic sanctions. The problem is that's going to impact us too, so we'd have to be prepared for that. But the idea that you're going to send American military men and women into Taiwan to be in a war with China, you got to ask yourself this fundamental question first. How in the world have we gotten 8.35% inflation in 18 months? How did the stock market go down from 36,000 to maybe under 30,000 by the end of today? How did the price of gas go from $1.90 a gallon to $7 in some parts of the country in 18 months? That's all this has taken. It's taken 18 months to do this.
It's a failed state.
Well, you know what the answer to this is? Because when you have elections, policies matter and policies have consequences.